Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Pamela Haynes and I am so glad you are here today watching my presentation. I would like to begin by saying thank you to the IMTA Conference Committee for everything you have done, because as much as we would love to be sitting together drinking coffee in between sessions at a live conference, you were able to take all these presentations and organized everything so that we can connect virtually. So thank you, anyone that's been involved with that, for all you have done. What a great task this has been, and what trials we've all gone through because of this global pandemic that has affected everyone in the world. So in May, I decided to come up with this proposal for a lightning talk. And since then I was told that I can talk as long as I want to. So I'm not sure how long this presentation will last, but it is a bit nice to have some freedom to not have to squeeze something profound into 5 minutes to share with you. So I want to start by also sharing a little bit about myself. I grew up in the town of Denver, Indiana, which is in Miami County, and I began playing the piano at the age of 9. From there, I went to DePaul University and received a Bachelor's of Music degree in choral education. I then went to Ohio University and received a Master's of Music degree in piano performance and pedagogy. And then I received my final degree from the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas. And that degree is a Doctorate of Musical Arts in piano performance, pedagogy, and literature. I want to pause for a minute. You might be hearing some background noise, and this is from my little doggy down here. His name is Minion, and he was scratching and making all that noise. So I'm not editing that out because the title of my presentation today is about imperfection, and we'll get to more about that in a second. So a lot of this video, I won't be editing out some of these interruptions and imperfections because it is the new normal that we are experiencing because of the pandemic and being in our homes where there are distractions and interruptions often. Okay, so moving ahead. After I received my doctorate degree, my husband and I moved to California, and I was an adjunct instructor in some community colleges in the Los Angeles area. I then had the joy of having my first child. His name is Lex, he's a boy. And then when my husband had finished his Master's of Divinity, we moved to the country of New Zealand, and that was in 2008. When we went there, I was pregnant again. Thought we were having another child, and instead we had triplets, boys. Their names are Marcus, Ethan, and Quinn, and they are dual citizens, which is pretty cool. So while in New Zealand, most of my time was spent being a mother and a wife, but I still taught piano lessons and I still performed. But at that point, I thought that my career as a higher academic instructor, educator was pretty much done. And anyway, we moved back to the States in 2008 and settled in Indiana, moved to Wabash, Indiana, where we now reside. I began homeschooling our boys. And a lot of that was because there was a huge adjustment culturally for them and for us. I kind of laid low in the piano scene and began to accompany some for local high schools, and then got in touch with Manchester University and began doing some collaborative piano work for them. And then became an adjunct at Huntington University as well. And then my husband and I thought life was, pretty calm, so let's adopt some children. So we adopted 3 children. They were teenagers at the time, or one preteen, 11, 13, and 15 years old. And this was in 2012 when they came to live with us. So now, if you're doing the math, that means I have 7 kids. Their age is now from top to bottom, 24, 22, 20, 18, 16, 16, 16. 2 girls, 5 boys. So then there was an opening at Manchester University for a full-time piano professor. And even though I had been out of the scene for a long time, I hadn't taught a college level class for quite a while, I went ahead and applied, and the rest is history. I've been an assistant professor of music and the director of piano studies at Manchester University since 2016. And sometimes I still feel like I'm new. I'm getting back into the saddle of what that means to be a piano professor. So just taking it one day at a time. Now, this brings me to my presentation for today. So, COVID-19 comes along in the spring of 2020, and it has affected us all. But it has really affected music, right? And I know it's affected all of you. We had to figure out, how do we still teach virtually? How do we teach from our homes? How do we still keep creating music and sharing it with the world? How do we encourage our students to do that? So many questions, and a lot of them that are still not fully answered. I found myself in March having to move all my college classes online and decided to start teaching via Zoom. Some of my private students decided to just stop. It was too much. And so I taught my applied lessons through Zoom. I had one student, though, that his Wi-Fi was so bad that we did piano lessons over the phone. So it was just a phone call. Couldn't see anything. Thankfully, he was really focused, and that worked out. So in the midst of all this, the director of the music department, my chair, decided, let's put some videos, let's put some recordings of us playing music onto social media sites, just to encourage others to say, hey, at Manchester University, we are still creating music, we are still reaching out to the world. So he asked me if I would go ahead, and I'm looking over here because my son is putting dishes in the dishwasher, hence more background noise. Notice I'm not editing it out because this is our world, right? So I was asked if I would also record some music to put up onto the Manchester University Music Department Facebook page, Instagram page. And I said, sure, I will do that. Now, I pause because the last time I had performed a solo recital was in 2016. And I am doing so many things, wearing so many hats in my family, at the university and all that I'm not focusing on my solo playing that much, which I don't feel great about. So anyway, in January though, I had pulled back from my repertoire Mozart's Sonata in F major K332. And I had recently rememorized the third movement. And so I thought, great, it's an opportunity to get back into the saddle and perform this and to record it and to share it with the world. So this is where my tale begins now that I've set the scene, right? I have this third movement and I'm going to record it just in my home. All right, so I'm going to take the camera now and show you where my piano is. And so this might be kind of funny, but again, this is all about imperfection and what we've had to deal with. So I have this really long room, which is my kitchen and dining room combined. Dining room over there was fantastic for homeschooling. And then the piano is right here. It's a Kawai SC3. I've had it since 1988, and it's just really served me well. Traveled around the world and back, and stays in tune really well. So I sat down, set my iPhone up, which is what this is recording on right now, and so I could see my face and the keys. I wasn't worried about audio quality because I didn't have the technology or the tools in order to make a really stellar, good audio quality performance and video. So that was the scene. Sorry, you just had a really strange look at my face. And I am now going to share an excerpt of that video. It was during the process of making the video. I'm going to share this excerpt with you and kind of walk you through what happened back in May. And then I will talk with you about perfection and how it was getting in the way of me recording this video and sharing my music with the world. So here is the video I made on May 16th and uploaded to Facebook. It says here Pamela Haynes is with Quinn Haynes in Wabash, Indiana. Now, Quinn is the youngest of my triplets. He was 15, almost 16 at this point in time, and he must have been sitting at his drum set when I was doing this. So the caption reads, recording some Mozart tonight. This was about the 5th attempt. Listen for the surprise from Quinn at 19 seconds in. Hashtag cymbal hit, hashtag Mozart Sonata K332, hashtag play it again, mom, hashtag quarantine piano life. Here we go. After uploading that excerpt to Facebook, I was expecting to receive some comments about the cymbal hit or about my response to the cymbal hit, my facial expressions. I wasn't expecting to receive comments about my piano playing. I think that was because I hadn't uploaded a video of the entire movement, and because with my hashtags and my comments, I was focusing on the cymbal hit. So I want to read some of these comments to you and tell you how I felt about them. I received 43 comments. There was 1 share of this video and 381 views. So here's one of the earliest comments I received. It was from a music educator friend, and she said, Mozart is my favorite. I love your radiant smile while playing. That cymbals hit would have made me chuckle too. I responded to her and said, thanks. It actually made me relax some. I tend to try too hard when playing from memory. She responded by saying, even better, you didn't miss a beat. If I were playing from memory, a distraction would probably cause me to blip a bit. Ha ha. And I think her comment was truly the only one that referred to the cymbal. The rest were about my playing. Here's one from a neighbor who I realized had never heard me play the piano. She said, you are so talented. You just glow while you play. Here is one from a friend who I went to DePaul University with. We were both piano students in the same studio, and we had both gone to Vienna to study abroad. He said, you are a better person for still memorizing. I haven't seen or heard you in so long. You have that maturity and ease to your playing, and I'm proud to know you. Great Mozart playing with true Viennese nuance. That was very special to get that comment. And then comments like this, bravo, lit, that's the on fire, you rock. Comments from family, from friends, from colleagues, from teachers, from other pianists, and from every season of my life, from people who hadn't heard me play since I was a child to ones that I had just met within the last year. Here's a final one to share with you. This is from a mentor of mine who was very dear to me while I was pursuing doctoral studies. She is not a pianist, but this is what she said. This is so lovely to get to watch you playing the piano again. So now I want to share with you a portion of the video I uploaded to Facebook the next day. This was May 17th, and my caption reads, Dear friends, thank you for all the compliments on my excerpt posted last night. Here's my best recording so far of the entire movement. Enjoy. Mozart's Sonata in F major K332, Allegro assai, 3rd movement. I think this was probably the 6th or 7th attempt to record this movement in its entirety. So the first half of this recording, which we will not be listening to now, went pretty well. I think I slipped off a few keys, so there were a few incorrect pitches, but for the most part, I was quite pleased with what I had done. However, what I will be sharing with you now is the recapitulation. And I remember at this point in time, I was getting tired. I just wanted to be done. I wanted to complete this project. And so my focus was starting to fade. I hit some wrong pitches. I started to speed up and to rush. And then I had a memory slip. And we've all experienced that. So at that point in time, I had the choice. I could either stop the recording or I could keep playing. I decided to keep playing. And then the comments began rolling in. 75 comments, 6 shares, 600 views. I was really, really surprised by the response. Here are some of the comments. Your music is a wonderful beginning for yet another jury day. Thank you. Another one. Surely that is God-given talent. May He bless you for sharing that with us. Some as simple as, yay, Pamela, miss you. Another one. I love watching you play. Such emotion and such talent. Great and beautiful. I seem to remember watching and listening to you play at your parents' home when I visited a long time ago. And again, it was just from so many people. And something like this. This is my 3rd time listening to this beautiful music. Please play more for us. I was kind of shocked because I thought the audio is not that great. I made mistakes. I had the memory slip. I thought certainly people wouldn't want to hear it more than once. And then I think this really stuck out to me too from a friend who talks about music in this way. He said, thank you for posting. I've always felt that music is, I think he meant to say, is not just supposed to be listened to. It's supposed to be experienced. I love watching the range of emotions that you put into your craft. This brings me to the title of this presentation, Performance, Imperfection, and the Pandemic. I was asked to record this video, I was seeking perfection. I was expecting it of myself, and I should. I have a doctorate degree in piano. I need to set an example for my students. I want to be respected in our teaching community. And I'm thinking to myself, this Mozart piece, it's not like I'm performing an hour-long recital. It's under 6 minutes. Certainly I can get through it, make a video without any mistakes. But that just wasn't the case for this time in my life. And perfection, it can be a good thing. I mean, we need to ask this of ourselves and our students. We need to strive for it. But when it becomes the driving force, when we are so concerned about what others are going to think about us, then it can become detrimental. I'm going to read you a quote about perfectionism. This is from a book titled The Gifts of Imperfection by Dr. Brené Brown. Dr. Brown has researched and studied courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy for over the past 2 decades and is a well-known author. This is what she says. Understanding the difference between healthy striving and perfectionism is critical to laying down the shield and picking up your life. Research shows that perfectionism hampers success. In fact, it's often the path to depression, anxiety, addiction, and life paralysis. Life paralysis refers to all of the opportunities we miss because we're too afraid to put anything out in the world that could be imperfect. It's also all of the dreams that we don't follow because of our deep fear of failing, making mistakes, and disappointing others. It's terrifying to risk when you're a perfectionist. Your self-worth is on the line. So yes, we need to strive for perfection, but we do not want to let perfectionism bring paralysis to our lives and to cause us to fear, for us to get wrapped up in those feelings to prevent us from sharing our music with the world. And this is what I learned from this entire process, that I had been limiting the sharing of my musical gift because I was waiting until things became perfect. What I had to choose to do was to dare greatly, to go ahead and make the video even with wrong notes or memory slips. And I want to share with you this quote about daring greatly. And this is Dr. Brené Brown, again, wrote a book that was called Daring Greatly, How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. And when we perform, we are putting ourselves out there. We are being vulnerable because there's a chance that we are going to fail and that there might be critics that are going to talk to us about that. She was inspired by a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, which you might have heard before, and I'm going to read this quote to you. It's right here. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So, by daring greatly, I then received encouragement from my Facebook friends and proceeded to finish recording the video. I sent that exact same video, the full version of the third movement of the Mozart, to my colleagues, and we were going to put it on the university website. We had discussed cutting it off right after the exposition because there weren't any errors in that first part of the piece. And, there was a concern about the length of it as well. Would people want to watch the entire thing? Well, one of my colleagues had some lovely things to say about the entire piece, mistakes and all. Let me share that with you. My colleague said, honestly, the errors were so minor that most people won't even notice unless they know the piece. Even the memory slip spot is a terrific example of how to work through those situations. You didn't scream or stomp your feet or start crying and give up. You used your brain to gnarl it out and find your way back. I love that. This is just a beautiful example of faculty modeling practicing. In addition to our teaching, grading, adjudicating, recruiting, etc., we still have to keep practicing to keep our own chops up. Scholarship. This is so beautifully played from a stylistic standpoint. Even the memory slip was in Mozartian style. I grinned so big about that. Well done, Pam. I usually slip into Charles Ives when that happens to me. Ha ha ha. Excellent piano technique. Wow. I love watching your hands. They are so beautiful and relaxed. I love watching the way you negotiate the weight of your hands and arms. Now to wrap this all up. First of all, thank you for watching all these video clips. And what I just want to say to you here at the end is get out there and dare greatly. Go ahead and make the videos, even if there is animal noise in the background or some other interruption, or you make mistakes, play some wrong notes, make some slips. Because why are we music teachers in the first place? It's because we love music and we want to share that with others. So I encourage you, perform. Get back into it if you haven't been doing it. If you have been sharing your music with the world, thank you. Keep on doing it. This is a time when people need music more than ever. Encourage your students to make videos, even, again, if it's not perfect, because the world needs to hear our music. I forgot that, and I'm glad that I was reminded that I need to share my music, mistakes and all. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed rest of 2020, and I hope to hear and see your videos. Thank you.